Never assume you're a law-abiding citizen just because you don't rob banks. The truth is, you're probably a criminal and you don't even know it. Scattered across the United States are ancient, dusty legal codes that were never actually repealed, laws that time forgot. The police haven't. We aren't talking about the fake donkey in a bathtub stories you've heard a million times. We are talking about the real, documented, terrifyingly specific rules that govern the lives of our ancestors and technically still govern us today. If you live in the wrong town, your everyday habits could be a one-way ticket to a holding cell. When we look back at the history of American law, things get weird fast. From the colonial era to the Wild West, lawmakers were obsessed with controlling things they had no business controlling. They wrote laws to stop neighbors from feuding, laws to keep people in church, and laws that were created because of one single legendary incident that happened 200 years ago. Today, we are uncovering 50 of the freakiest laws that time forgot. These aren't just funny facts. These are the actual rules of the land that could still be used against you today. Before we dive into the legal archives, do me a favor. About 90% of you watching aren't actually subscribed to the channel. Do you want more deep dives into the weirdest parts of history? Hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and comment below which of these laws you think is the most insane. Number 1, State of Massachusetts. There is an ancient law that makes it a crime to go to bed without first having a bath. Now, this sounds like a hygiene tip, but back in the 1800s, this was a blue law designed to ensure that the populace was clean and godly for the next day. It was actually illegal to stay dirty. Imagine a bath time inspector knocking on your door to check your ears. It sounds like a nightmare. But for a long time, the government actually cared if you smelled like a swamp. Number 2. Let's look at an old law from the books in Maine. In the late 1800s, it became illegal to step out of a plane while it was in flight. Now, you might think, well, that's just common sense. But this law was written before parachuting was a common hobby. Lawmakers were genuinely afraid that people would start leaping out of these newfangled flying machines and landing on people's houses or livestock. To this day, the law doesn't care if you have a parachute or not. Leaving the craft midair makes you a legal deviant. Number 3. Down in Alabama, there is a law that time forgot regarding how you walk down the street. It is strictly illegal to have a salt and pepper shaker in your back pocket while walking in public. Why? Because back in the day, this was a common tactic for horse thieves. They would put salt in their pockets to lure a horse away from its owner without making a scene. If the owner caught them, the thief would just say, "Oh, I'm just carrying my seasoning." The law caught on and banned the pocket seasoning trick entirely. Number 4. In the state of Vermont, back in the colonial era, a law was passed that made it illegal for a woman to wear false teeth without the written permission of her husband. This law was rooted in the idea that a husband was responsible for the appearance and maintenance of his wife. If she wanted to be able to chew her food properly, she had to get a signed permit from the man of the house. While nobody is checking for dental permits today, the law was never officially struck from the books in many jurisdictions. Number 5. In New Jersey, we have a law that targets your behavior at the dinner table. It is actually illegal to slurp your soup in a public restaurant. This wasn't just about being annoying. It was considered a breach of the peace. In the early 20th century, etiquette was treated with the same seriousness as traffic laws. If you were catching a bowl of ramen today and got a little too loud with the noodles, an old-school cop could technically cite you for disorderly conduct. Number 6. Let's head to the mountains of West Virginia. There is an old law that states if you are a pilot, you are not allowed to take a lion up in your airplane. This sounds like a joke, but it actually stems from a specific incident involving a traveling circus and a very brave, or very stupid, pilot. The lion got loose in the cockpit, the plane almost crashed, and the state legislature decided right then and there, no lions in the sky. If you are planning on taking your pet Simba for a flight over the Appalachians, you're out of luck. Number 7. In the state of Washington, there is an old law designed to protect the purity of the air. It is illegal to pretend that your parents are rich. This was a vagrancy law from the late 1800s. People would come into town, claim they were the heirs to a massive fortune, run up massive tabs at hotels and bars, and then disappear. To stop this, the state made it a crime to falsely represent your financial status or your family's wealth. So, if you refaking it until you make it on Instagram while you re in Seattle, you're technically a criminal. Number 8. In Michigan, there is a very specific law regarding your hair. It is illegal for a woman to cut her own hair without her husband's permission. Similar to the Vermont teeth law, this was all about property rights. A woman's beauty was considered an asset of the household. If she decided to go for a bob or a pixie cut without a signed okay from her spouse, she was technically damaging property. It's a freaky reminder of how different the world was just a few generations ago. Number 9. In the city of Chicago, there used to be a land in some dusty books. It still exists that makes it illegal to eat in a place that is on fire. You would think the fire itself would be the deterrent, but apparently, people were so dedicated to their deep dish pizza that they would leave even when the curtains were blazing. The city had to make it a crime just to force people to evacuate so the firefighters could do their jobs. Number 10. In Rhode Island, you have to be careful about what you do with your neighbor's animals. There is a law from the 1830s that makes it illegal to borrow a horse and ride it until it's exhausted without the owner's consent. This was the 19th century version of joyriding. If you took your neighbor's horse out for a midnight gallop and brought it back sweaty and tired, you weren't just a bad neighbor, you were a felon. Number 11. In Connecticut, there is a law that time forgot about the integrity of food. For a pickle to be legally classified as a pickle, it has to be able to bounce. This wasn't just a fun experiment, it was a consumer protection law. In the 1840s, scammers were selling pickles that were actually just rotten cucumbers soaked in vinegar. They were mushy and gross. A judge ruled that a healthy, properly cured pickle has enough tension to bounce. If it doesn't bounce, it's trash, and the seller can be arrested for fraud. Number 12. In the state of Georgia, it is illegal to carry an ice cream cone in your back pocket on Sundays. This is another one of those lure laws. Similar to the salt-in-the-pocket horse thieves, and people would put an ice cream cone in their back pocket to lure stray horses or cows to follow them home. Since they weren't leading the animal with a rope, they would claim the animal just followed them. The law closed that loophole by banning the pocket cone. Number 13. In Maryland, it is illegal to take a lion to the movies. I don't know why lions are the stars of so many of these laws, but apparently in the early days of cinema, people thought it would be a great PR stunt to bring a circus lion into a theater. As you can imagine, the combination of a dark room, loud noises, and a giant predator didn't go well. The law was passed to ensure that movie nights stayed human only. Number 14. In South Dakota, there is a law that forbids the use of theatrical makeup if you are trying to hide your identity in public. This dates back to the era of stagecoach robberies. Bandits would dress up like actors or use stage grease paint to disguise themselves. If you're caught wearing a disguise without a permit for a play or a parade, you're looking at a legal headache. Number 15. In New Hampshire, it is illegal to collect seaweed at night. You might think seaweed is just ocean trash, but in the 1800s, it was a valuable fertilizer. People would fight over it. To stop seaweed wars from breaking out in the dark, the state made it a crime to harvest the stuff after the sun goes down. If you're looking for some kelp for your garden, you better do it during business hours. Number 16. In the state of New York, there is an old law that makes it illegal to congregate in public while wearing a mask. This was passed in the 1840s to stop farmers who were protesting high rents. They would dress up as Indians and wear masks to attack the police. The law stayed on the books for over 150 years. It was actually used recently during various protests, proving that these forgotten laws can be dusted off whenever the government feels like it. Number 17. In North Carolina, it is illegal to use an elephant to plow a cotton field. This sounds like something out of a fantasy novel. But after a traveling circus left an elephant behind in the 1920s, a farmer actually tried to put it to work. The elephant destroyed the field, the neighbor's fence, and a barn. The state decided that from then on, only mules and horses were allowed to do the heavy lifting. Number 18. In Pennsylvania, there is a law that makes it illegal to catch a fish with your hands. This is known as noodling in other states, but in PA it was seen as unsportsmanlike and dangerous. The law was written in a time when the state was trying to regulate the fishing industry to prevent overharvesting. If you think you're being tough by grabbing a catfish with your bare paws, the local game warden might have a different opinion. Number 19. In Virginia, It is illegal to hunt any animal on a Sunday, with the exception of raccoons. This is a leftover Sabbath law. The idea was that men should be in church, not out in the woods. But for some reason, the lawmakers decided that raccoons were such a nuisance that you could kill them 7 days a week. If you're aiming at a deer on a Sunday morning, you're a sinner and a criminal. Number 20. In the city of New Orleans, Louisiana, it is illegal to tie an alligator to a fire hydrant. This law came about because people used to bring their pet gators into the city and would leave them tied up while they went into the bars. Not only was this a hazard for people walking by, but it also made it impossible for firefighters to get to the water if a fire broke out. Now you have to find a much more creative place to park your alligator. Number 21. In Utah, there is a law that makes it a crime to not drink milk. Okay, that's a slight exaggeration, but the law states that every adult must drink at least 1 glass of milk a day for health. This was a push by the dairy lobby in the early 20th century. While nobody is going door to door with a gallon of 2% to check on you, the law is a weird reminder of how much power certain industries used to have over the legal system. Number 22. In Arizona, it is illegal to cut down a saguaro cactus. This isn't just a small finite as a felony that can land you in prison for 25 years. These cacti take hundreds of years to grow, and they are protected like historical monuments. In the 1980s, a man died because he shot a giant cactus with a shotgun, and the heavy arm of the plant fell off and crushed him. The law is there for the cactus's safety and yours. Number 23. In Idaho, it is illegal for a man to give his sweetheart a box of candy that weighs less than 50 pounds. I'm not sure who the big candy lobbyist was in Boise, but this law was clearly written to ensure that romance was expensive. If you're giving your girlfriend a small box of chocolates, you're technically a cheapskate and a lawbreaker in the eyes of the old Idaho statutes. Number 24. In Kentucky, every citizen is required by law to take a bath at least once a year. This law was passed in an era when indoor plumbing was a luxury and mountain men would come into town smelling like the woods. The town leaders wanted to make sure that at least for the annual festival or the new year, everyone was somewhat presentable. Number 25. In Nebraska, it is illegal for a bar to sell beer unless they are also brewing a kettle of soup. This is another blue law meant to discourage pure drinking. The idea was that if you were eating soup, you weren't binge drinking. It turned bars into accidental soup kitchens. And while the law is ignored today, many old bars in Omaha still keep a dusty pot of soup in the back, just in case. Number 26. In Florida, if you tie an elephant to a parking meter, you have to pay the same parking fee as you would for a car. This is a real law in the city of Sarasota, which was the winter home for the Ringling Brothers. Circus. Elephants were constantly being walked through the streets, and the city wanted their cut of the revenue. If the elephant stays there for 2 hours, you better have enough quarters for the meter. Number 27. In Montana, it is illegal to have a sheep in the cab of your truck without a chaperone. This was a theft law. Sheep rustlers would throw a sheep in the front seat and drive away. The law required that if a sheep was in a vehicle, there had to be a second person there to vouch for the fact that the sheep was being kidnapped. Number 28. In Nevada, it is illegal for a man with a mustache to kiss a woman in public. This law was written during a time when mustaches were seen as unhygienic and scandalous. If you had facial hair, you were expected to keep your displays of affection behind closed doors. Today, the hipster population of Las Vegas is technically in a state of constant legal peril. Number 29. In New Mexico, it is illegal for idiots to vote. That is the actual wording in the state constitution. Of course, in the 1800s, idiot was a legal term for someone with a mental disability, but the fact that the word is still in the Constitution is a freaky look at how the law viewed mental health in the past. Number 30. In North Dakota, it is illegal to fall asleep with your shoes on. This was a fire safety law. The idea was that if your house caught on fire, you needed to be able to feel the heat through your feet to wake up. Or, more likely, it was a way for hotel owners to stop drifters from sleeping in their lobbies. If you take a nap on your couch today with your sneakers on, you're a fugitive from justice. Number 31. In Ohio, it is illegal to get a fish drunk. I don't know who was sharing their beer with the local trout population, but the state legislature decided that animal cruelty extended to the underwater world. If you're caught pouring a Bud Light into a fish tank, you're going to have a very awkward conversation with a judge. Number 32. In Oklahoma, it is illegal to wrestle a bear. This was a huge sport in the early 20th century. People would pay to get in a ring with a declawed bear. It was incredibly dangerous for the humans and miserable for the bears. Oklahoma eventually stepped in and said, "No more bear wrestling. If you try to take on a grizzly today, you'll be fighting the bear and the police at the same time." Number 33. In Oregon, it is illegal to use canned corn as fish bait. The state wanted to protect the health of the fish. They believed that the salt and preservatives in canned corn would mess up the digestive systems of the trout. If you want to fish in Oregon, you have to use worms or artificial lures, like a civilized person. Number 34. In South Carolina, you are required to carry a gun to church. This is an old South law from the 1700s. At the time, there was a fear of uprisings or attacks during church services when everyone was gathered in one place. Every able-bodied man was required to bring a loaded rifle to the Sunday sermon. While the law obviously isn't enforced now, it was never actually removed. Number 35. In Tennessee, it is illegal to use a lasso to catch a fish. This seems like a very difficult way to fish anyway, but apparently someone was out there trying to cowboy up the local river. The state decided that nets and poles were the only acceptable methods. If you're a rodeo star looking for a new hobby, stay away from the Tennessee docks. Number 36. In Texas, it is illegal to sell your own eye. You can donate it, but you cannot put it on eBay. This was part of a larger push to stop the human organ market before it even started. So, if you're short on rent, you're going to have to find another way to make money that doesn't involve your vision. Number 37. In Vermont, it is illegal to deny the existence of God if you want to hold public office. This is a leftover colonial law. Even though the US Constitution says there can be no religious test for office, this old Vermont statute still sits in the books, waiting for someone to challenge it. Number 38. In Wyoming, it is illegal to take a picture of a rabbit between January and April without a permit. This was a wildlife protection law. The state didn't want people bothering the rabbits during their breeding season. If you're a nature photographer, you better have your paperwork in order before you point your lens at a bunny in the spring. Number 39. In Wisconsin, it is illegal to serve apple pie in a public restaurant without a slice of cheese. This is the most Wisconsin law ever. The dairy lobby strikes again. They wanted to ensure that their products were being pushed at every possible opportunity. If you're eating pie in Milwaukee and there's no cheddar on the side, the restaurant is technically breaking the law. Number 40. In Arkansas, it is illegal to mispronounce the name of the state. It is Arkansas, not Arkansas. They actually passed a law in the 1800s to settle the debate once and for all. If you say it wrong in the state capital, you're technically disrespecting the legal code of the land. Number 41. In California, it is illegal to eat an orange in your bathtub. This law from the 1920s was based on the medical theory that the acid from the orange would mix with the bath oils and create a dangerous explosion. It's complete nonsense, but the law remained. If you're looking for a citrus-filled soak, you're a California outlaw. Number 42. In Colorado, it is illegal to mutilate a rock in a state park. This means you can't even pick up a rock and chip it with a hammer. The state views the geology as a historical treasure. If you're caught practicing your stone-cutting skills on a hiking trail, you're going to get a very expensive ticket. Number 43. In Delaware, it is illegal to wear pants that are firmly fitted around the waist. This was an old modesty law. They didn't want people showing off their figures in public. If your jeans are too tight, you're technically in violation of the Delaware decency standards. Number 44. In Hawaii, it is illegal to have more than one alcoholic drink in front of you at a time. This is to stop binge drinking. You can't order a beer and a shot at the same time. You have to finish one before the waiter can legally bring you the next. Number 45. In Indiana, it is illegal to sell cold soda in a grocery store. You can sell it warm, but if you want it cold, you have to go to a liquor store. This is a weird leftover from the Prohibition era that was designed to make it harder for people to mix drinks on the go. Number 46. In Iowa, a man with a mustache is never allowed to kiss a woman in public. Yes, another mustache kissing law. What did lawmakers have against facial hair in the 1900s? Seems like every state was terrified of a hairy lip. Number 47. In Kansas, it is illegal to throw a snowball in the city of Topeka. They classify snowballs as missiles. If you start a snowball fight with your kids, you're technically engaging in a missile strike against your neighbors. In Louisiana, it is illegal to order a pizza to be delivered to someone else's house without them knowing. This is a harassment law. People used to prank their enemies by sending 50 pizzas to their door. Now that's a crime that carries a heavy fine. Number 49. In Mississippi, it is illegal to tutor someone on how to use a typewriter. This law was passed to prevent people from learning how to forge documents. Since typewriters are mostly in museums now, the law is just a freaky relic of a paranoid past. Number 50. In Missouri, it is illegal for a single man between the ages of 21 and 52 not pay a bachelor tax. In the 1800s, the state wanted to encourage marriage and population growth. If you were a single guy, you had to pay the state $1 a year for the privilege of being alone. It is mind-blowing to think that these laws are still sitting there, tucked away in giant leather-bound books in city halls across the country. They serve as a weird, hilarious, and sometimes scary map of where we've been as a society. Most of the time we're safe, but all it takes is one cop who knows the ancient mustache laws to ruin your day. Subscribe for more weird history and watch this next video on the screen right now.